ברוך אתה ה' אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל מדברך. אמן. לחיים, לחיים. חיים. No. Amen. No, l'chaim. L'chaim. Say l'chaim. L'chaim. Does everyone know why I'm bringing today? Oh, great. Pessach Sheiny means the second Pessach. And what happened, Pessach Sheiny, there are two things about Pessach Sheiny. Number one is that there were several people who could not do the Korban Pesach at the time when the first Pesach came around because they were Tomei. So they were given a second chance to make a second Pesach. That's the first thing. They were given a second chance. Another important thing, interesting thing in Pessach Sheiny, that Pessach Sheiny as a mitzvah was not given from Hashem at the time when the first Pesach was given. Pessach Sheiny was given by request of these people who missed out on the first Pesach. In other words, they elicited this mitzvah. They came with a justified grievance. He said, we missed out, but not because we did a sin, not because we didn't want to, but because we couldn't. So that's why we should miss out. And Hashem said, you're right. We can do the Korban Pesach separately. If I had known that there are people not here, I would have waited. Maybe I'm overweight now. I don't want to miss anybody. I like everybody. I don't know if everybody likes me, but I like everybody. So, Zog L'chaim Zingen Nigen. I'm going to get everybody in here. No, what's the favorite niggin in Seagate? We still have time for another meeting.
Great.
Good way to begin. No, wait. Come on, let everybody hear it. Do you know what battle started on you? Imagine that? Let's go. Mitzrayim ge'altanu b'savadim b'dizanu Mitzrayim Mitzrayim ge'altanu b'savadim b'dizanu 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 Mitzrayim ge'altanu b'savadim b'dizanu
Zavadim Medizano Mimitroye, Mimitroye.
L'chaim, l'chaim. What? Mashke. See, Pessach Sheiny is supposed to have another chance, so we're starting all over again. Pessach Sheiny, as we already said, but this is a Pessach Sheiny, so we do it the second time. It means a second Pesach. And as I'm pointing out, that in Pessach Sheiny there are two unusual in aspects. One is that if you miss out on a korban, you have another chance to do it. Another is that itself came to be. How did Eden merit? How did Eden get this mitzvah? Because those people who missed out on the first korban on account of themselves being tomei requested it. They protested. They said we don't deserve to miss out, and that's why they merited. That's how they got this second chance on Pessach Sheiny. One, in fact, was given to them a second time. Everybody knows what Pesach is. Pesach in a Jewish home begins a month before Pesach, a minimum. A month before Pesach, you already start preparing for Pesach. The most difficult yontif to prepare for is Pesach. From every angle. First of all, of course, obviously cleaning out the chametz and provision for matzahs. Matzahs is something which has to be prepared. I don't know to what extent you're familiar, but matzah is not something you can take flour and bake matzah. From the time of the harvesting, it has to be treated in a certain way. So it means it has to be started way before preparation for Pesach. And then on Pesach, there's a whole seder. In time with Hamikdash, we mark the Korban Pesach on Yudalad and Erev Pesach. The Korban Pesach itself was marked on Erev Pesach. And then by night, when we do the seder, they would have the seder, and they ate the Korban Pesach at that night, by the seder. And the seder was a whole seder. Yes, they talk about his Yus Mitzrayim and all kind of mitzvahs and so forth. And then after that, there were 7 days of Yom Tov. 7 days of celebration of different korbanos, special korbanos called Musar and Talazah. What did these people get? So in Pesach Sheiny, they were so relieved, they were so enthused about this great accomplishment. All they got was that they were marking the Korban Pesach. Did they get a Yom Tov again? Did they get a Seder again? No. All the experience of a Yom Tov and the special enjoyment, so to speak, of a Yom Tov, that has nothing to do with it. All they did, they got the Korban Pesach. And this perfectly well satisfied them. This is what they asked for, and this is what they got. What were they missing? They weren't marking the Korban Pesach, but they had the Seder with everybody else. They couldn't eat the Korban Pesach because they were Tomer, but they had matzah or morer, and they had the Seder. They asked the Manishtano, and they said Avodim Oyinu, and they did the whole thing. And maybe even the Chad Gadya, who knows? Everybody knows what Chad Gadya is.
Chad Gadya?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's only one.
It's only one night. So they had everything. And yet, they said, we had everything, but that doesn't count. We won the Korban Pesach. And they were granting on Pesach and said, okay, that's it. Pesach Sheiny doesn't compare to Pesach Rishon in the way you do it. Pesach Rishon, before you share the Korban Pesach, you have to have a house clean of chametz. If you have your chametz in your house, you're not allowed to share the Korban Pesach. Even if the chametz is stashed away, if you have chametz, you're not allowed to come. Pesach Sheiny is not like this. Pesach Sheiny, you can have chametz in your house. The only thing is, with the korban, with the Pesach itself, you can't eat chametz. But the korban, but you don't have to clean your house out. You just do the korban, just one aspect. And this is all they asked. What's so special? What are they missing? What's the cause for the celebration? When these few people that missed out on the first Korban Pesach, when they came to Moshe with their complaint, they said the following. They said, we are Tomei, and why should we miss out from offering a Korban Hashem b'mayadeh? Korban Hashem, the Korban to Hashem in the right time. Just from these words themselves, you could see that what they were complaining about, what they were missing, was not that they can't eat the Korban Pesach, that they can't celebrate with everybody. There was a Korban that's called a Korban Hashem. It's a Korban to Hashem. And they complained, we don't have that one little thing. We can celebrate the Yom Tov like everybody else. Enjoy our matzah and more and everything. But the Korban Hashem, according to Hashem, what's this Korban? What's special about this Korban? You shech this sheep, and the blood gets thrown on the Mizbeach, and the inside gets burnt on the Mizbeach, the fat, and then you eat. So take a sheep and eat. What's the big difference? This is what they were complaining about. The fact that not that they missed out the meat of the sheep, the fact that they missed out to bring a Korban Hashem. And because they felt and they recognized that they are missing this one aspect in Pesach, they merited to get a completely new mitzvah. Mitzvah of Pesach Sheiny. In mitzvahs, there are in every mitzvah there are two inyonis. There is the human experience of the mitzvah, and there is the fact that this is a mitzvah of Hashem. What we see externally by observation, we see the human experience of the mitzvah. When one davens, it seems he's preoccupied. He's doing something. Sometimes a person says, it's occupying, it's enjoyable. He learns, it's enjoyable. He eats cholent, It's also enjoyable. This is the human experience. Then there is another aspect in the mitzvah that one can be completely oblivious to. In other words, it's very subtle. It's not that easily detected. And that is that this is a mitzvah that Hashem said we should do. When we ask ourselves, what is this additional ingredient? We live in this world. We do the right thing. What is this additional ingredient? That this is a mitzvah of Hashem. The whole inyan of Torah and mitzvahs, the whole inyan of Yiddishkeit. Yiddishkeit is a way of life. As a matter of fact, one prize student over here asked me one time a question. And he said, is it an appropriate view of Yiddishkeit to say that to live according to the Torah and to guide your life according to the Torah, to do everything, to set your life according to the discipline of Torah is a very good thing. It's a good way to live. So therefore, even if I have doubt whether it's true or not, but it's still a good thing. Is this invalid? Is this a viable approach? This was a very honest question and very thoughtful question. Because everybody is struggling. I mean, we are coming from a background where this emunah was not there. And to relate to this emunah is quite difficult. But we have to understand that this ingredient of Hashem's presence in our lives, that's what it's all about. This is what it's all about. This is the center. Korbanos, it says in Chassidus, Korbanos, the Zohar says in Kabbalah, the Korbanos are the highest thing there is. It's called Rosa de Kurbana is Oila ad Rosa de Insof. That's an expression in the Zohar. Essentially what it means is that Korbanos is really the highest type of avodah there is. And again, one would ask, what's so special about Korbanos? You sit and learn Torah, that seems to be much more occupying and much more significant. You daven, you put on tefillin, you do tzedakah. What's so special about Korbanos? And the answer is that Korbanos are exclusively directed to Hashem. It's called Korban Hashem. It's called Lechem Hashem. It's called Hashem's food. Everybody understands what it means, Hashem's food. It means that this is what permits Hashem to be with us. Because because that these people recognized that nothing will substitute the union of Korban Hashem. You can give me matzahs, you can give me morel, you can give me the tastiest food, you can give me a big yontif. I want to have this union from Korban Hashem. I have to have the direct connection to Hashem. Because they recognize that. This is why it was possible to give him the second chance. Pessach Sheiny is a yontif of the Baal Tshuva. Specifically. It's mamash a Baal Tshuva yontif. Because that these people recognize that they're missing the particular inyan of being a Korban Hashem, since they related to Hashem, therefore it was possible for them to get a second chance and to heal the wound and to fill the lack. In the world, if you missed a day, you missed a day. If you missed your chance, you missed it. You can have the next day. If you didn't daven on Sunday, so you didn't daven. If you daven on Monday, so you daven on Monday, you didn't daven on Sunday. Or if you didn't give tzedakah, whatever in the world, if it is an action contained in the world, you can't make up for it. You can correct it from here on, which means correcting yourself, but not correct that which you have missed. That cannot be filled up. It's missed. Because in the world, everything is time and space. If this time has passed, the time that has passed has passed. It's not recallable. But if you relate to Hashem, not to the worldly aspect of your life, but if you relate to Hashem, then it's a totally different picture. Because Hashem can cure everything, and even if it is completely missing. There can be a complete reversal, not a cure mekan ol haba, a complete reversal of anything past. And this was the wisdom that was expressed by these people. So we don't want another Yom Tov. We're not interested in the celebration. Be that as it may. We want this one thing. We want to participate in Korban Hashem. And when they said that, Hashem said, that's absolutely possible. That's definitely possible. Bringing this back home to us. And I said before, Pessach Sheiny is clearly a Yom Tov of the Baal Tshuva. Because the Baal Tshuva recognizes the union of Yiddishkeit and Torah. However, he came to it, but clearly there were years behind him. There were years behind him. There were experiences behind him. There were all kinds of things that he missed out. To get Yiddishkeit into your heart, into your bones, you have to be born b'kashrus. You have to say Meide Ani before you can speak. You have to wash negelwasser before you touch food, when you were still feeding for your mother. I mean, that's how you bred the Reb Chanina. The Gemara says, the Mishnah says there were 5 Talmidim. The Rabbi Yechanan Zakkai had 5 Talmidim. One of them was Hanania, he came to so the Gemara says, so Mishnah says on him, Rabbi Yechon Zaka said on him, Ashrei Yeladetoi, that praise is to the one who gave birth to him. Ashrei Yeladetoi. So it says, what was so praiseworthy of her? His mother would bring him in his crib when he was still an infant, literally. Bring him in his crib into the Besmedrash. Let him stand in Besmedrash and hear the sound of learning Torah. This is how he grew up. So comes a Baal Tshuva, and he says, I missed out on all of this. Does that mean that I'm forever going to be missing, going to be behind? So the answer for this is Pessach Sheiny. The Baal Tshuva has to recognize what is the center, what is the core that he is missing. If he is missing the lomdas, if he is missing the recognition, if he is missing the feel well, so to speak, that cannot be made up. But if he is missing the inyan that he recognized that brought him to Yiddishkeit, he is missing the Korban Hashem. He's missing a real meaning to his life. Not the enjoyable life, not the calm of life, but the real meaning, the Hashem in his life. If he is missing Hashem in his life, that he can make up. And this can be completely reversed. And it can cure him completely. To the point where he won't missing anything. He will be on par with someone whose crib was in the Besmedrash. Because he has the real thing. That's a center. And this is what Pessach Sheiny tells us. There's two things. One is that it can be made up, it can be corrected. But it can be corrected if you ask for it, if you're looking for it. The people had to come to Moshe and complain. Why should we miss out? That's the thing. They have to be asking for it. You have to demand it. It has to come from the individual. It has to come from the individual. If he complains about it, he's going to get it. If he's complaining, I feel empty, I don't have Hashem, I want him, he's going to get it. Years back, the early years of Adar HaTorah, Rabbi Lipsky and myself started Adar HaTorah, you know. It's going back in the mid-60s. There was a Talmud in Adar HaTorah, a young boy. I think he was 18, 19, 20 when he came, pretty, mature but young age. And he learned a few months, and he came to recognize the heart. He came to recognize the real soul of Yiddishkeit. But it gnawed at him, it bothered him, that he, because of his background, because of the influences that he had from where he came from, he felt he's not relating to it with the same simplicity, with the same openness, with the same truthfulness, with the same unity, as if he didn't have these other things. He wanted to be not just to know about Hashem, but he wanted that it should be really in him, as if he was born in it, as if his crib was in the Besmedrash when he was born. And it gnawed at him. This is a story that he himself told me. I mean, I was then in the So one day he comes to me. He tells me, Rabbi, the other day, this was eating up at me. I took a long walk down Eastern Parkway. I sat down on one of the benches in Botanical Gardens. And he says, I broke out in a cry. I was crying uncontrollably. And Rabbi, I don't feel the emptiness anymore. I'm here. I don't feel that gap anymore. And that young man, in fact, is fully imbued. Anybody look at him would say he was born in this medrash. There's no question about it. Fully imbued between the Yiddishkeit and is in his blood. Not in his mind, actually, like that in his blood. We have to know what we're looking for. We have to identify it correctly. Because that is the only thing that can really be corrected. That's the source. That's the source. That's the reason why things can be corrected. The Gemara says, Heute ma yeheyol. Nefesh gesech, if a person sinned, chas v'sholom, what should happen to the sinner? So they asked Moshe, the mother says, they asked Moshe Rabbeinu, what should be to the sinner? So Moshe Rabbeinu said, he sinned? How can he sin? Sinned? He transgressed on the word of Hashem? Unforgivable. Yomus b'disha, he must die. He sinned to Hashem. How can he rebel against Hashem? Shalom the Torah. So then they asked Torah, what should be with the sin? So Torah said, Yovi korban v'yischapen. They bring a korban and the sin will be forgiven. Then Shoalu LaKodesh Baruch Hu. They asked Hashem himself, what should be with the sin? And Hashem said, you should do tshuva v'yischapen. Tshuva is higher than Torah. Because tshuva is where you seek the essence of the truth, the essence, the pure essence. About tshuva must not compare himself, must not look at himself in terms of how big a lamb am I, how well do I fit. He should know one thing. Did I recognize Hashem? Is this true to me? Am I there? That's all that counts. This is the same as saying when you see a person, Rahman Islam, He's lying motionless. What do you go for? What is your first test? What do you want to know?
See your life on.
You want to know if his heart is pumping. You don't go over to him and say, hey, I want to know if he's alive. Shalom Aleichem. That's much later. That's not. You want to hear, is he breathing? If he's breathing, everything is salvageable. This is the breath of life. The breath of life in a Yidden is Shema Yisrael, is knowing that is praying to Hashem. That's the breath of life. And if we, and not if, and the Baal Tshuva, this is Baal Tshuva is essentially demanding and looking for. And this is why he can correct everything. He can clean everything up. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Chaim Baruch.
Have to watch how much I drink.
You can take a designated driver.
Yeah, is it possible? Yeah, how are we going to get back?
Sure. We'll get you that.
Huh?
No, that's
You know probably Sol Niggas going to also like Ya mama ya mama ya mama ya mama mama ya 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 la ram la ram ya na ya na na ya na na ma na na ya mama ya la la ya ya la la tere ra la ra la ra ra ya na tere ya na 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 ya la ra ma la ra ga ra oh ya na tere ya 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 la ra tere ya la ra ga ra ma ya na tere ya na na ya la ra la ra la ra mo na tere ya 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 la ra tere ya la ra la ma la ra na la ra na ya la ra na la ra na ma la ra ya na ra ya na ra ma la ra ya na ra na ya la ra ya na ra na ya la ra ya na na ya na ra ya na ra ya 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 la ra ya la ra la ra la ra ya na na ya na ra ya na ra ya na ra ya na ra ra ya na tere ya 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 la ra ya la ra la ra ra ya na 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 ra ya na ra ya na na ma ma na ra ra mo ya na ya ya I want to have the full entourage.
Full entourage.
Sing noch ein Ding, wo ist along these lines we understand where the essence of tshuva comes from, where the essence of being able to cure, to correct the past comes from. When we recognize that, then this becomes the the leading light. This becomes the headlight. This leads a person in the path. One looks around. There's an yeshiva, Baruch Hashem. And he can be, even in yeshiva, be distracted. Not Hashem distracted to bad things, but distracted from his path, what he specifically has to do. Even if one is in yeshiva, it's not a guarantee that he will essentially follow this pure path identified by this nekuda. What is it that he is seeking? There was I think I saw it in Beis Mashiach, a response from the Rebbe to someone. Where this Bocher from Eretz who is apparently a Bocher who was knew how to learn. He was a Bocher in line with the yeshiva Bocher. He felt that he can do better than following the Seder HaYeshiva. Seder HaYeshiva means the schedule of the yeshiva, the way the yeshiva is set up. So he wrote to the Rebbe the following. Wrote to the Rebbe that he finds it difficult. He doesn't find that the yeshiva Seder satisfies him what he is looking for. And therefore, he wants to set a Seder up for himself. Of course, within the confines of yeshiva, within the walls of yeshiva, he wants permission to have his own Seder. And he describes his Seder. He will learn Chassidus X number of hours, he will learn Niglas number of hours, a whole Seder that he sets up for himself. And at the end he writes that I hope that this will lead me Lamaila, it will lead me upwards and upwards, down closer to Hashem. That's how he finishes today. So the Rebbe answers him. The Rebbe circles. This will lead you. In other words, how the Rebbe used to do it earlier. This will lead me. And brings down the line. He says, the She'el Tachas. This will lead me. And he says, the She'el Tachas. It will lead you into the lowest pit. She'el Tachas. This Bocher, he really thought it through. Obviously, he dared write to the Rebbe that he wants to be outside of the Seder Shiva. He figured everything through. And the Rebbe writes to him that this will lead you, instead of Lamaila, it will lead you Lamata. She'el Tachtis. That's what the Rebbe writes, She'el Tachtis. The She'el Tachtis means into the She'el is called a grave. It'll bury him. That's what it means. What's the difference? He's learning. He has a seder the way he prefers. And the Gemara says, "Lo'ilon yilmid odom b'mokim sheli b'chofetz." One has to learn the place what he likes. In other words, what he likes, what one likes, is an ingredient necessary for success in learning. So what was wrong? Really suggestion. He knew how to learn. He could follow through in his seder. Rebbe wrote, this is going to lead you to Sheil Tachtis. What's the secret in this? The secret behind it is one can perceive a pursuit, something that a seder for himself, on the basis of what will enhance, say for instance, his understanding in Torah, his knowledge will enhance certain aspects that he is looking to develop. But the real center, the real objective in yeshiva, along with the learning and the lomdus and all that, the real objective is to learn everything that you learn and to know that this is Teres Hashem. That this is Hashem's Torah. And that you are now doing what Hashem wants you to do. And when it comes to this very simple question, is this bringing me closer to Hashem? Not is this bringing me closer to being Gamal Lam, or is this bringing me closer to becoming a good person? Is this bringing out the soul of my Yiddishkeit? That's a real question. There is no way to bring out the soul of Yiddishkeit without self-discipline. It's not in the seichel, it's not in the midas. It is in being in yeshiva and following the directives of the yeshiva. That's where the secret is. Being in line with the yeshiva, in line with the seder of the yeshiva. If now is the time of yeshiva to learn Chumash and Rashi, and you are going to say Chumash and Rashi, that's kid stuff. I'm going to learn Samach Lov.
Kabbalah.
There's no comparison. Anybody can learn Chumash and Rashi, but not everyone can learn Samach Lov. I don't know if anybody can learn Samach Lov. So that's what I'm going to do. And he is making a fundamental error. And the error extends itself to the point, is he going to get a Pessach Sheiny, or is he not going to get a Pessach Sheiny? It's very simple. You can learn Torah and remain where you were before you learned Torah. That's for sure. It depends how you learn Torah, it depends what your approach to learn Torah is. In order to get the second chance, in order to get the Pesach Sheiny, you have to have a very pure approach. a straightforward approach. And then, of course, you get everything together. You get the lomdas, you get Baruch haba b'shem Hashem. We must not be concerned about how great are we, how am I doing. You have to be concerned about one thing. Am I following the directives of the yeshiva? Then I know that I'm on the path of going l'may l'may. And if I'm not Hashem following the directive of the yeshiva, even if I can account for 100 blood Gemara that I learned and for all kinds of different things, you are not going upwards. You know, in olden days, they didn't have mechanical energy like we have today, like whatever it is, an engine that would move, that would turn wheels. Everything had to come from some kind of a gimmick. But basically, energy, power, was horsepower. Which is where all power, that's why it's called horsepower. Because the original source of power is in a horse. So there was one type of a mill, a grinding mill. That was a ground wheat, whatever, to make flour. So there was a waterfall mill, this was in old days, and there was also a windmill, and there was also another kind, it's called a horse mill. And what was the horse mill? There was a mechanical gizmo, a mechanical type of an arrangement where, well, the idea of one wheel turning another is as old as the world. You know, it's from Leactures days. So there was one big wheel that would turn. If they turned this way, so then the mill wheel would turn the other way, and it would grind the carcass. How do you make this big wheel turn? This big wheel would be put on the ground, and would just protrude just a little bit, and they would walk a horse on this wheel. As the horse is walking and it's pushing back, so instead of the horse moving, the wheel is moving. So the wheel would be moving, and the horse would be actively running, and the wheel would be moving, and in the meantime the grinding wheel would turn and would grind the wheat into flour. A horse-powered mill. So the horse was really acting very bravely. It was mamash running, exerting all of its power, showing its ability. The horse was standing in one place. It was moving, it was acting, it was overpowering the resistance of that wheel, of that weight and all that. But it really stood in one place. Didn't move. So, human beings were able to get benefit from this horse being proud of just moving in one place. But we don't want to be moving in one place. It's possible to learn and to do all kinds of things and actually stand on one place. That's for sure. In order to move upwards, the Rebbe says over there, instead of falling down, move upwards. The first principle is that you have a Seder in your day. And the Seder is set up by the yeshiva. First principle. That way, you recognize that there is a presence You say, I want to come close to Hashem. There's Hashem's presence here in this world. Where is Hashem's presence in this world? Hashem's presence in the world is in this medrash. He's in the yeshiva. It's not where you make it up. And you want to join the yeshiva, you want to follow this Seder, so that you actually relate to this presence. We can readily understand this. If one has it in his own mind, then he still lives in his own mind. Essentially, he is still relating to those things that he understands and values, rather than to the inyan that he's looking at it, as the people in the mitzvah said, we all don't want anything that we experience. We just want Korban Hashem. And this is the secret of success in Yiddishkeit Bichlal and for Baal Tshuva Beprat. The truth is, you say Baal Tshuva, no one is singled out in saying Baal Tshuva. Because absolutely everyone is a Baal Tshuva. If one recognizes the truth of his life, one recognizes the meaning of Avodah, he's automatically a Baal Tshuva. So it's not a question of defining a certain background and a certain person. And Baal Tshuva means, literally, that's the pshat in Tshuva. Baal Tshuva means one who seeks Hashem. Not Torah, not accomplishment. He seeks to know Hashem. And this is what Pessach Sheiny is about. When one asks, how am I doing? The question is, by an adult person, the question is, how are you doing to yourself? Are you touching your essence? Are you committing? Are you committed? Are you going to the point where you need to go? That's what it's about. Every time that a bocher misses a seder in yeshiva, so he says, it's another hour of learning. Mele, there are plenty of more hours. It's a big mistake. He didn't miss an hour of learning. He missed a seder in yeshiva. Which cannot be made up. Which simply says, as far as the real truth for himself, it says, I'm in my own world. I'm on my own. I'm not in line. I'm not in this seder of the yeshiva. I'm not really in this pursuit of coming close to Hashem. That's what it means. It's a very serious thing. It's not a question of another hour of learning. It's a question of the essence of tshuva, the essence of Pessach Sheiny. If we want to be helped, we want to come out of the depths. We want to come out of that which was confusing our lives. And we want to come out, so to speak, into the open air and to breathe the fresh air of Yiddishkeit. We have to know there's only one way to do it. There's a straight way. It's the only one way to do it. It's not a question how much you know or how much you learn. It's a question, how did you do it? Did you follow the path? Were you in line? Then you are on the path. Did you learn what you were supposed to be learning? What's the difference? The yeshiva was learning this, but I was learning this. No. That's not the same thing at all. I tell you, I'm not here that long, and I'm not giving musa to anybody, but just want to alert you. I stand over here when they're learning after Mincha the couple of things, the Rambam and half of the yeshiva is not at the table. It's a seder from the yeshiva. How can you miss it? You know it all. What's the difference? Seder in the yeshiva, you're supposed to be here. If you're not here, you have to have permission for the yeshiva not to be here. You don't understand the significance of this. It's not just learning another little thing. It's being in line, in the Seder. It's not stepping out, not breaking away, not separating yourself from the essence. It's extremely significant. It always bothers me. I don't understand how this is possible. I think Bochum Pasha don't appreciate the significance of this. Everything that comes and every Seder Yeshiva for Bochum of mature Bochum who understand that they have to build themselves up, pull themselves out, so to speak, from the deep and come out to the surface. They can't take chances like that. It has to be perfect. When it comes to Mincha, there's hardly a minyan. Where is everybody? Mincha is Mincha time. There's a Seder after Mincha. Everything. I'm not giving Chashva Muslim, explaining to you. You're adult people. This is really very, very, very serious. One can be in yeshiva for years and turn around and says, what have I accomplished? Oh, so I know a piece of Mishnayos, I know a piece of this. But I don't feel I really moved away from where I was. It's very possible. It's very possible. You were going in circles. You were running a horse mill. Running in place. The real core, the essence that helps, that brings it, pulls a person out from the deep, literally, and gives him fresh air, is this one pure essence, that he is going in line, is going in the right line. It's not what he learns. If he is learning what he's learning in the right line, in the right discipline, within the Seder Yeshiva, then of course that's the food. But no one ever became a Baal Tshuva because, and got himself out because he had understood something. It's much deeper than understanding and knowing. It's something in the essence of the person. It's a complete changeover. It's a complete step out. You have to step out of the dirt and come out into dry land. It's a complete changeover. And it doesn't happen by yourselves. You know, if someone, Rahman Islam, is caught in quicksand, anybody ever knows what quicksand is? It looks like it's very deceiving. It looks like sand. It looks perfectly well, perfectly safe. And then all you want is just move from here to here, and you say, I can't. It's holding me down. You can't move from here to there. And the only way that you can actually come out of quicksand is with somebody pulling you out. If you insist and say, no, I'm going to do it on my own, it's not going to happen. So I'm urging, it bothers me. I'm seeing Bochrim, not as adult, mature Bochrim, they don't have all the time to waste, all the time to spend. Everybody here knows they have in yeshiva, a year, 2 years, 3 years is luxury. And if they don't follow the path, they're going to come out the way they came in. They're going to know how to put on film, they know what to do, but internally, do they have the strength? Do they have the sense of Yiddishkeit? Are they out of the danger, out of the quicksand? Who knows? L'chaim. Rebbe should give us all a sense of the meaning of l'chaim, of life. We should distinguish between being, existing, and living. Living is not existing. Living means breathing fresh air, knowing where you're going, knowing why you're going there. What is going on? And recognizing that this life is very, very real. Because there is Korban Hashem, there is Hashem in it. That's why it's real. It's not real because I feel my toe. I feel comfort and discomfort. It's real because there's Hashem in it. And that's why I'm here, that's why I'm working, that's why I'm going through all of this. And there is no compromising. There are no, in this one essence, I say in Torah there are all kinds of different leeway, so to speak. If a person can't daven fast, it takes him 5 hours to daven. Nobody's going to tell him, it takes you 5 hours every day to daven. Say, listen, we'll have to cut your davening short, daven in English. It's daven, a normal time of davening. There's all kinds of different arrangements. Not in one nekuda. What are you looking for? There's no compromise in that. That has to be clearly defined. And has to be pursued very clearly, without any compromise. Can be murky waters over there. Just like between life and lifelessness is a categorical difference. It's not a little bit less, a little bit like that. There's no compromise there. Strong and weak, yes. It can be weaker, it can be stronger. It can be bigger, it can be less, smaller. It can be all kinds of different things. But there's certain things, the Nekuda, that does not have width. It only has one sharp definition. That sharp definition by Yeshiva Bochrim, by Bochrim who are mature, defines itself in one first thing. I'm here and I'm within this discipline. I follow whatever. I don't do anything my own. I follow whatever my Mashpia tells me. That's the first thing. This is how it's going to pull me out of my quicksand. Because I'm not going to make it on my own. How can you make it on your own? I said, it's like flooding water. You're working, moving over. be an expert water threader. Is that what you're looking for? So Zan L'chaim, we should seek life. L'chaim. when relating this story with the Pessach Sheiny, the Torah says that these people came to Moshe with a complaint. And they expressed the complaint in a very interesting way. Didn't say, we also want to be like the Korban Pesach. Give us also a chance. They said, why should we be less than them? Lama Yigora. Why should we be less than them? Which means they were Tomei and they came back in the Korban Pesach. And yet they said, not we should get another chance. So we don't want to be less than them. We want to be exactly like the primer guys. And Hashem consented and gave them. When I said second chance, this was before we got to understand what the real thing is. The real thing is not a second chance. This is the real thing. They're not tigara, they're not missing anything. We cannot begin to surmise the hashgacha protis, the godly plan that brought about this whole mahapecha, this whole Baal Tshuva movement. This is not an accident. This is a godly plan. This is not an individual thing. Oh, I'm feeling like this, I'm missing this. You're talking about a whole 2 generations of Yidden getting lost, and their grandchildren, great-grandchildren, recapturing the whole thing. This is not an accident. There is the most profound hashgacha protis in this. And it accomplishes enormous things. Mamish in Kavana from the Meibesh. This explains. There's a posik that says, posik in Mishlei, it says, Yisrein ha'oir mitoich ha'choshech. The simple pshat in touching the words, Yisrein mitoich ha'choshech means to recognize the superiority of oir over darkness. That's clearly just the surface, just to say in the words. Clearly that's not what the Pasuk says. Because light and darkness don't mix. They're not comparable. It's not a question you have to become wise to recognize the mile of light over darkness. And then the Pasuk does not say Yisrin ha'oir al ha'choshech, the oil, the mile of oil over darkness. It says oil mitoich ha'choshech, from inside the darkness. So Chassidus explains that what this Pessach actually says is that the real quality of light, the real value of light, it comes to expression and reveals itself when the light comes right out of darkness. How can light come out of darkness? When it's light, you have to switch. When it's dark, you have to switch on a switch, a light switch. And then it becomes light. Darkness does not create the light. What does it mean, the light coming out of darkness? When one is in the dark, when one is in the dark, and he says, I cannot see. I must have light because I cannot see. Then while he is in the dark, he is already in the light. Because if one is in the dark and he cannot see, so why do you want to see? There's nothing to see. Right? It's dark. How do you know there's anything to see? Maybe there's nothing to see. That's why you don't see anything. So he says, no. That cannot be the truth. There has to be something. There has to be something to be seen. How does he know it? Because he has a sense that there is what to see.
But he saw something before?
You have to understand this metaphorically a little bit. Think of it. If one does not accept the situation as is, says, it's dark, okay, there's nothing to see. So I'll acquiesce to this. Says, no, I cannot acquiesce to this. I cannot live with this. I must see. That means that he already senses the value of light. He's already looking for the light while he's in the dark. The sense of light while one is in the dark is true light. It means that the light exists even before you see it. You know you recognize there is something to be seen, there's something to be sought before you find it. It's not that, like it says in Klippa, in Titus, in the world. The Torah says, there is nothing in the world that's worth seeking. There's nothing in the world that's inherently sought after by the human soul. But you see it, I might as well have it. If you don't see it, there's nothing to see. I'm not missing anything. That's why it's a very simple precept, very simple command, very simple mitzvah. Don't look where you're not supposed to look, and you won't want it. Because it's a very superficial thing. There is not really anything that draws you there. If you see it, might as well try it. You don't see it, there's nothing there. Not missing anything. On the other hand, in Torah, in the Lakus, in godliness, it's just the opposite. While you are in the dark and you see absolutely nothing, you say, I'm looking for the light. There has to be light. How come I don't see anything? That's the truth. That's where you have Yisrael Ha'oir Mitoch HaChoshech, where you see the superiority, the value of light, because it came out of the darkness. Then you know it's true light. It's not light by fact. It's light, inherent light. It's true light. Even if there isn't light, it's also there. That's the real light. This light existed before you ever identified it. This is the Yisrael, this is the real light. And because we are seeking this light that always existed, we can actually demand and say that not that we want light, but we shouldn't be shortchanged at all. We shouldn't be missing anything. Loma Yigora. Why should we be less than? Shouldn't be less than. Because we have that inherent recognition of this light. This essential truth is not something that you get by learning. This essential truth, you have it inherently. And learning helps to bring it out. But essentially, you're looking for the light before you even see it. And that's why these people were able to come to Moshe and say to him, it's true we are Tomei and we can do the Korban Pessach. But that doesn't mean that we have to be less than all the others. We don't have to be less than all the others. Provided that we recognize what we're really looking for. Provided that we're looking to be alive, to be real, then we're not going to be shortchanged. We're not going to be second-rate citizens. You're going to be in the front line. Time is kind of cutting me short. I want to say l'chaim to each one, and I hope that we'll take the encouragement from Pessach Sheiny and we'll rejuvenate, identify with the real thing that we're looking for, and bring additional and new life into our activities in the yeshiva. so that they will clearly be identified, we will clearly be able to see we are looking for the real thing here. We are looking for the real thing. We are looking to be makriv hakorban Hashem. Yes, Michael.
Rabbi, pleasure to have you. For bringing Seagate. But the question I have is what you're saying to connect to the real thing. The question I have is relating to what you said earlier on about the gentleman crying in the park, and you said he feels relief. And how do you know if you are connecting that is to what you think it is, or maybe you connect to something that you think it is but it's not what you think it is, or you think it's something but it's totally something else? How do you know? Like, if you want to connect to Hashem, how do you know you're connecting to Hashem? How do you how can you know? How can you know that by sticking to a Seder, this we can do in this physical world. This is how we can direct the animal, by sticking to something physical, and then through that we can get some. But how? How do you really know?
Well, Michael, there are many levels to your question, and thus there are many levels to the answer to the question. But on the simplest level, which is where any question should be attended to first, on the simplest level, we are able to connect to Hashem because Hashem has provided us the means to do that. Torah mitzvahs. And Torah mitzvahs include that there is, every person, like the Rebbe says, every person must have a mashpia, must have a rav, and the yeshiva has to have a discipline. The Rebbe who established the yeshiva had clearly spelled out the importance of that. No exceptions. And that's how you know at this fundamental level. If you want to feel it more deeply, give it a little time. And when you give it a little time, you won't even have a question. Is it there? Once you start breathing fresh air, you don't question, am I breathing fresh air? So every Yom Tov, every day, in fact, every day when the sun rises, a new day comes in. The Rebbe wakes up the world and says, okay, do what I asked you to do. And we wake up to this call. We wake up with rejuvenated koiches. Every day we're rejuvenated. The world is rejuvenated every day, and we individually are rejuvenated. The fact is, when a person sleeps, on the surface it appears that he got physical rest. The truth is that he got way beyond than physical rest. I don't have time to discuss the whole process, the whole union of sleep. But a person can rest for 24 hours and not get the rest that he gets in 5 minutes sleep. This is not no exaggeration. So this is not physical sleep, physical rest. He literally, his neshama gets rejuvenated. And he has to come out of this with this rejuvenated koiches daily. Then comes a Yom Tov, especially a Yom Tov like Pessach Sheiny, which is extremely, extremely encouraging, which really hits to the core. We should come out from this rejuvenated with a new resolve and a clear view of what our path is. And if you have a clear view of your demand, what you want, so Moshe Rabbeinu transmits that demand to Hashem, and Hashem tells him, you got it. That's the way it happens. So each one of us is going to get the Mebus's bracha. But we have to be kelim to receive the bracha.
How do you tell Moshe Rabbeinu, or tell him what you want? Do you do it nowadays by writing a letter to the Rebbe, telling the Rebbe what you want? Is that how you do it now?
No question about that. But I'm talking about in the very, on the level that we're speaking about. You came to the yeshiva, and you came to the yeshiva because you said, I don't want to be out of Hashem's camp. I don't want to miss out on the calling to Hashem. And that's what I want to do. And Hashem says, you got it.
Not exactly those reasons, but more or less.
More or less. After all, these people were in the desert. There was not much to confuse them. You came from Texas, Australia, and there's a big ocean. I mean, there's many things, many dolphins that could have confused you. Am I sure where I'm going? But more or less, it's in line. Anyway, l'chaim. Okay, do yourselves a favor. Do me a favor. At least tomorrow, we should have the full complement when it comes to the shir by mincha and after mincha. Let's start. Everybody belongs in yeshiva. If you're not there, you're saying, I'm not belonging here. If you don't belong there, you don't get the brachas that come with it. And if you're there, you have to be there and do just exactly what is being done. Don't sit and learn something else because while this is the seder for yeshiva to learn this is what you have to pay attentive to. By the Seder Pessach, the Chacham say, Afilu kolon Chachamim, kolon Nevenim, kolon Yodim as HaTorah. Even if we're all Chachamim, we're all wise and we're all learned, and we know the whole Torah. Nevertheless, it is now the time to talk about Yetzias Mitzrayim, so we'll talk about Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's not a question of learning new things. This is now the time for the yeshiva to do this, and everybody has to do this. You want to have the Hashem's bracha, you want to have the Rebbe's bracha, to help people out, that's what you're supposed to do. L'chaim. I have to check out. I have other obligations. Seid gesund. So ist es.